Well, welcome to another repair video, and here on the bench today we have an absolutely fantastic example of a Fender twin reverb. This is a silver face model. The one, as you can see, that is the master volume version. So this amp was built in very early 1973, or possibly just before Christmas of 1972. It's a little hard to tell because it's a 1972 chassis number, yet all of the EIA codes on the transformers, capacitors, etc. are all from very early 1973. So I'm guessing probably that this chassis was ordered with the serial number already stamped, and then basically sat on the shelf for a few months before they actually built the amp in the new year, and out it went. So as you can see, this is just in awesome condition. So this is a genuine, original silver face Fender twin reverb. You can see it's got the proper logo. I believe at some point the grill cross was replaced. Judging by the cleanliness of it, I tend to believe that. But other than that, I think the amp is entirely original. So let's give it a little spin around here and we can drink it all in. Looks like the mounting hardware here for the chassis and the handle are original, but have possibly been painted. I'm not sure if some of them actually came with painted hardware like that. I guess if they didn't, then these have been painted. But that's not a drama. As you can see, the Tolex is in excellent condition. We've got a little ding out of it there. But for an amp that's, pushing 50 years old, that's pretty good. I'll look down the side. It's got the lean back arms. It's all there. That's very nice. Let's have a look in the back. So we can see it has the original speakers, the JBLs by Fender, the model D120F, and it's got the two of those. We'll check those out, make sure they're good. And we can see this particular one has had two of the power tubes taken out of it. In fact, they're not even a pair of power tubes. We'll check that out later. It's got all its tube shields. The rear control panel is in absolutely flawless condition. Down inside we have the reverb tank, which looks like it should be fine, and even the original foot switch. And this isn't a repro, this is the original, in just fantastic condition. You can see the tube chart down in here, saying that yes, in fact, those are the tubes that should be in it. Interestingly, this does not have a circuit number. So we'll have to just double check that, make sure which exact circuit this one is. We'll do that when we get the chassis out and we can have a look-see. One thing I do notice is missing the wooden baffle that goes across here, across the back, to protect the tubes. Whether the owner might have that himself and didn't give it to me, or whether it's missing, I don't know. It's a question to find out. The lower one is here. So yeah, I'll just drink that in and enjoy. We've got a box here, I'm guessing from the rattly sounds that this has some tubes in it. We'll put those over here out of the way. And the amp has been fitted with a 3-wire power cord. stackable plug on the end of it. We'll just make sure that's been done properly. Now see, this is the export model, which has the multi-voltage selector. Sorry about the rubbish camera work. I'm going handheld on this because it's actually quite large. I don't like these switches at all. It was originally there so that, you know, traveling musicians who are going abroad could select the voltage for the country that they were playing in. But they're just an accident waiting to happen. I mean, what if you're carrying the amp and you accidentally bumped the switch around to, you know, 117 volt and then plugged it in to 240? Goodbye power transformer, and probably a few other things too. So what I will do is I will actually leave this knob here and this plate, but I'll simply bypass it in behind and make it inactive. It'll just be non-functional. And if he ever does want to use it somewhere with a different supply voltage, it's just a matter of reactivating that switch to be able to do so. But I think that's highly unlikely. The fuse, we'll check that, make sure it's right. Looks like the power switch has been changed at some point. It's black plastic toggle instead of the more traditional silver toggle, like the standby switch. And moving along, then we've got the speaker and external speaker jacks. Little caution warning. And then our jacks for the vibrato and reverb pedals, the reverb output and the reverb input. I don't know if you can catch down in there, a little glimpse of the reverb tank hiding under all those wires. So we have to make sure that that is good and functional. Right, without further ado, let's take this beast out of its cabinet and have a look at the inside. Well, feast your eyes on this. What we have appears to be a completely original, unmolested twin reverb. As far as I can tell, nothing has been done. In fact, I'm fairly sure, looking at this, that nobody has ever been into this amp until now. Just look at that. Absolutely perfect. That filament wiring elevated just the way it should be. Absolutely fantastic. There's our power supply diodes. And the little bias supply. We'll be changing that capacitor, that's for sure. Output tube balance pot. Yeah, I don't see anything that's ever been changed. All these capacitors, all these resistors, they all look completely original to me. And also, judging by how tight it was to remove the screws holding this amp chassis into the cabinet, you know, I don't think they've ever been undone. Have a look at it here. This is one of the screws here. It's not going to focus on it for me now, is it? Look at that. It's hasn't been worn or stretched or bent. Yeah, I think that's as fresh as the day it was made. Let's have another look at this lovely control panel. It's in really, really good condition. A little bit dirty, but we can deal with that. All the knobs, all with their proper silver inserts. No nasty dings or scrapes. No sign of that nasty corrosion that gets under the clear coat on the control panel and eats away at the aluminium. Just fantastic. This is exactly, as an amp technician, what we want to see. Absolutely exactly what we want to see. We don't have to undo anything. We don't have to figure out anything that's been changed. We just need to fix it. So, what's wrong with this amp? You might be looking at this going, well, hey, that thing's pretty shiny. What's the problem? Well, the owner was actually using this amp up until very recently, quite regularly, and it was okay. He said it was a little bit hummy, but other than that, it was fine. And then he started playing, and the amp kind of went a little bit quiet, and then finally stopped. And some of that pesky magic smoke that we try so hard to keep stored inside managed to leak out. So we need to find out what fried. I'm just really, really hoping it wasn't the power transformer. That would be a terrible shame. Although replacements are available, it would be a real shame to break the originality of it in that way. So fingers crossed that the power transformer is still good. So I'm going to turn this over now, and we'll take the cover off the doghouse and have a look. Maybe it's had some new caps put in there. We shall soon see. Okay, I've removed the screws holding the doghouse cover on after turning the amp over, so I've just booked in my triple hernia surgery now after moving that. It's an absolute beast of a thing. This thing, I don't know what it weighs, but it's a lot. I pity those poor roadies who used to have to hump these things around stadiums. It weighs just as much as a small planet. Anyway, let's have a look under here, under the doghouse, and see. Maybe it's been recapped. What do you think? What are your bets? Let's see. Nope, it hasn't. Ooh. Okay. Ooh, yes, we got that lovely smell of old capacitors, and oh yes. Oh yes, indeed. Look at that. Hang on, let me get some more light on the subject, and we can get a real good look. Oops. There we go. Wow. Okay, I think we might have an idea where some of that magic smoke was coming from. These capacitors are absolutely and utterly shot. Wow. I seriously hope that hasn't shorted out the power transformer. Let's have a look at the other side. See what they look like. Oh, yep, they are just as bad. Sorry, this is a very awkward angle to get to now. But there we go. There we go, we can see it. Oh, yeah. Oh my goodness, look at that. Sorry about the lighting. These capacitors are fully life expired. I think we can say for safety that is definitely going to need replacement. Okay, so let's have a look at some of the other parts of this amp. Okay, got you on the tripod now. Instead of the seasick making hand photography. Okay, so let's pop this tube out. Have a look at it. Okay, well, right off the bat, we can see a little problem. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see it on camera there, but see if I can focus on it. Can you see what that says? That's a 7027. Right where a 6L6 should be. Okay. And you see that they have cut a couple of pins off the base, which, yeah, that'll technically make it function, but it's electrically got all the questionable parameters in this amp. So we'll put that to the side. I don't think we'll be using that in there again. Let's have a look at this other one. And here we have a 6L6. Okay, so we had a 6L6 and a 7027. Well, that would make for some interesting harmonic distortions. Hopefully the output transformer is alright. I'm sure it would be. You can see the difference here with the 6L6s. Those two pins are not even used on a 6L6 compared to a 7027 where they are used. All right. Let's get some of these tube shields off and have a look what's in here. So in the phase inverter position we have a 12AT7. Oh, well, that's good news. At least it's the right tube. That is never safekeeping. We're not going to be powering this amp up until we've done some work on it, so I'm going to take all of these out. In the V5 position, we have 12AX7 from RCA. Nice grey plate. Very good. We'll test all these, make sure they're all good. In V4 position, we have another RCA 7025. Very nice. Maybe we'll put that in the V1 position if it's nice and quiet. 7025 is essentially a low noise version of a 12AX7. So good for inputs and low signal level situations. Ah, okay. Maybe there's another little bit of the magic smoke. You can see. Poor little RCA, what was it? 12AT7, so this is the reverb driver. It's gone to air. It's kaput. You can see the getter, which is normally a silvery black colour, gone all white. Can't actually see where that's failed. Maybe it's got a crack in the bottom of it. I don't see one. Usually it's quite obvious where they fail. Okay, well, that's one for the rubbish bin. Have a look at V2. And this is a TISA 12AX7. Essentially that, I believe, is going to be the same as an RCA, isn't it? I think. Yeah. It's pretty much identical. And in V1 we have another 7025. Okay, so we've got a quite a nice selection of tubes in this amp. Well, at least in the pre-reverb and driver sections. Okay, well, they're out, and here is the pretty absolutely destroyed looking capacitors. Especially this one, which looks like, well, that's a pretty bad tumour it's got there. That's terrible. Sorry about the focus. These things, I don't think I've ever actually seen a whole set of capacitors quite as bad as these. So we know where they're going. Straight on eBay for $100 each. Only joking. You know what? Wouldn't surprise me. Okay, so we've got the area nice and cleared. there's just a little bit of solder flux around. Now, well, people don't bother to clean that off under here and that, but I like to, because I think it just makes a better job of it, and well, you've got to take pride in your work. So put a little bit of alcohol on there. Right. That alcohol will evaporate in no time. Okay, let's start prepping our new caps. So the first capacitor is in this way around, and the second one is this way around. These two are actually in series with each other. Being first filter caps, they take the full hit of the high voltage at turn on. And then you've got the three smaller ones. You've got the three smaller ones arranged like so. Okay, I'm going to solder those in there, and then we'll come back and do some more.